This is my tragic little story time about when I got beat up in 4th grade. And well, actually, more like jumped. I had this teacher. He was class A narcissist and a freak. And I believe an alcoholic. Well, he was always doing something to a student. Well, a student that wasn't an A or B student. If you were CDF, there wasn't anything he wouldn't do. I mean, at that point, they still had paddles in the room. I don't remember them ever being used, but they were still there. This was in the 80s, you know. I was born in 75, so do the math because I suck at it. Anyways, I was this tiny. I'm 4'11". So can you imagine me at 4th grade? What was I? 2 foot nothing. I'd get lost in bushes. It was crazy. There was a lot going on in my life that, you know, I won't talk about in this video, but I will in another one. That I was very much an extrovert at home because I didn't want them to think anything was going on. But I was bullied at school. I walked around with my head down, big wide eyes, you know, scared looking all the time from what people told me. And like I said, this teacher was so nice to the good students and such a jerk to what he considered the bad students. And it's not that we were bad. Well, some of the kids acted up. I know I wasn't bad in that grade. I was so quiet, which is hilarious because I'm a freaking big mouth, you know, and that's what's kind of prompted me to do this. I just love talking. I talk all the time. People just don't want to hear it anymore, so I figured I'd come on here and see if anybody wanted to hear it. So anyways, he had this desk of goodies and treats and everything. I don't know if he had candy or anything. He just had like little dollar store gadgets and gizmos, toys and stuff that he would give his good students when they would answer a question on the board or something. Well, if you weren't an A or a B student, you were not allowed. And he didn't have this covered. You know, it's not like you could avert your eyes. And I'm a curious cat, okay? So instead of going straight to my desk, I mean, he didn't even want you looking at this stuff. Looking at it was like a sin, you know? So basically, what happened was this. I walked, instead of walking straight into the classroom and to the back of my desk, I went besides the table and was going to go around the front and get in my desk. I was like in the middle row. So I looked at the table. I was curious. He grabbed me by my freaking neck. I was so scared. I don't get embarrassed or humiliated anymore because you know why? I'm desensitized. I made myself that way because of so many things that had happened. So now it's like, I don't have those feelings anymore. I mean, yeah, sure, there's sometimes that I feel like, but I put on kind of an act, mimic other people, but I'm not really humiliated or embarrassed. I just don't get that way anymore. Um, but I was just so singled out. Um, and it hurt. I mean, a grown man grabbed me by my neck. And he didn't just grab me by my neck and avert my eyes, no. He took me and slammed me into my chair. I got home and I told my parents. My parents called the school. Well, um, they wanted to call the school board and everything, get the school board involved. And I think that was total right thing to do. I saw him pick up a kid and drop him from like 4 or 5 feet. Ridiculous. You know, he'd put his hands on lots of kids, but they were supposed bad kids. And see, that's the problem. I wasn't a bad kid. I just didn't get the right grades. So he fucked up. He messed up when he messed with me because there had never been any calls home about me. Um, the thing is the next day after my parents made the phone call and everything, he dismissed like all the CDF students. And which was kind of strange, but didn't think nothing of it. Well, I was walking back from the bathroom to go to, I don't remember what class it was, but I was met by 15 kids. This was when we had like 30 kids in a classroom. I was met by 15 kids. I don't remember who they were. I don't want to know. I don't want to remember who they were. But they jumped me. And I didn't know why. I didn't know what was going on. I was underneath a big dog pile. And nobody was doing anything. There was no adults around. There was nothing. Finally, two people, I knew one kinda, and I knew the other one since like making mud cakes in our diapers. And I wasn't even sure if he was on my side, but apparently, I flinched and he was all no. And the other guy could tell that I was just really scared. And they were pulling the people off of me. And my friend that I'd known forever, I didn't really, I didn't expect him to do it. But when he did, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. But then this other kid, he was a little chunky, kind of cute, not bad looking, but kind of an outcast like me. Was walking by, and all of a sudden he just starts pulling people off like he's the Hulk. But he doesn't like beat him up like the other guy was. I think my other friend was having more fun beating up the kids after he pulled them off me. He got to me. He wiped blood and tears off my face and got me up and walked me to the principal's office. I don't even know if he said anything. They told him thank you, and you can go back to your class now. My parents were called. I went home, but I got up the very next day and went back to school. Don't ask how. I wanted to play sick. The thing is all the stuff that I was going through in my childhood, there was adults everywhere. And it seemed like they didn't either care, didn't know, or didn't want to know what was going on with me when I was little. So when this kid that I didn't even know approached the situation and was heroic and cared about me over a situation that had nothing to do with him, I was so flabbergasted. I was like, what the fuck? Why does this kid give a shit, you know? And that was right there when I realized that I could help myself. And other people could help me. I never knew that. I thought that everything that I was going through as a child, that I just had to put up with, because the parents, even though they didn't directly see or know, they didn't do much. When I reached out to my brother about some of the stuff that was going on with me, he told me I was crazy, forget about it, blah, blah, blah. So I was super confused. And then, you know, not to get into too much with this, but I had a real bad self-esteem issue because my father would tell me that everybody hated me, nobody liked me, and that I talked too much. And instead of that making me this meek person that didn't talk very much, I walked into the room like everyone hated me. So I became very charismatic, which made me talk more. And it's been a problem my entire life. You know, people call me a big mouth and, you know, blah, 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 this and that. But you know what? I don't give a shit anymore. But I used to. But what people didn't understand was 99% of the time I was talking about myself, not other people. I ended up meeting up with that guy that helped me. I thought he was the bee's knees for a second. He ended up just being a homeless bum that was hooked on meth, and that's a whole nother story time. Oh, I've got plenty, let me tell you. But anyways, if you're being abused, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. I don't care who's doing it. If you don't like being talked to a certain way, then talk to the other parent and tell them, look, hey, this is going on. I don't like it. It needs to stop. If something else is going on, you know, don't just rely on an older brother or an older sister. tell a parent, tell the school, tell somebody. Abuse is not okay. Neglect is not okay. I am probably one of the most neglected people. And I'm not just saying that. I supposedly have friends. But I don't leave this van ever. And I barely talk to people. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. Don't. Because a lot of it, yeah, I was under the age of 18 when a lot of stuff happened. But when I got to my adult years and I was still making the mistakes because of what happened when I was younger, those were my fuck ups, and I take responsibility for those. So I'm in the situation that I'm in now because I allowed myself to be. Anyways, tell me what you want to hear next time. Boyfriend horror story, or ex-husband horror story, or ex-boyfriend horror story that is going on now. Why I'm living in a van and I never leave. Whatever you want to know, leave it in the comment section. Bye.